Microphone, the correct microphone delivered. So we do have Q&A. We have the filmmakers here, Cutter Hodierne and John Hibey. Excuse me, I can't even read my own writing. Fishing Without Nets. Thank you.
Hello. I don't know how we're going to do this, or...
Okay, so this is the short...
I'll start with my name. My name is Cutter Hodierne. I was the director of Fishing Without Nets.
My name is John Hibey. I produced and co-wrote the picture with Cutter.
Q&A? Any questions? You've got some.
Okay. So, was everyone in that actor, or was there actual? Because it really felt like they were real pirates, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, they were non-actors who were acting. So they were just guys that we met on the street or met casting in sort of informal casting sessions that we did in like a local nightclub. But they were just people that we sort of got to know and, on our trip there. All Somali refugees living in Kenya is where we filmed it.
What inspired you to do it?
Back in 2008, I started reading all these New York Times articles about the Somali pirate attacks off the Horn of East Africa, and I just got very obsessed with the subject. And would just read every single article that came out, and just knew that the story to tell was from the perspective of the Somalis, because it was sort of the story that nobody else could get in and show in any sort of documentary fashion in a real, true way. So that was pretty much the inspiration, was just sort of getting obsessed by these guys who are like these kind of hapless criminals in a way, who are way in over their head, and their reasons for doing it was really what interested me, was not to somehow romanticize piracy in any way or make it not to do that, but to explore why somebody might what circumstances would put somebody in a position where they might end up doing that.
I thought it was interesting. I saw the parallels between who of our country and theirs, that in forest parts of my country, people are often conscripted to the military in the same way because you have no choice. Making the film, did you see that connection? Did you highlight that? I mean, because they also had no choice.
Yeah, definitely. There's a really clear parallel between like the drug business, illegal drug business in America, and Somali piracy in terms of how the organizations operate, sort of with infantrymen type guys who are 16, 17-year-old guys who don't have lots of other options, with maybe then another level of authority above of guys who are sort of calling the shots in a different way. So there is definitely a clear parallel. I think we noticed that. Maybe you should speak a little bit about Chino Boy. I feel like he was definitely, we saw that sort of parallel with him.
Parallel?
Just seems sort of like a hip hop.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess we saw parallels between Chino and some American individuals. He had he was always chilling on his earphones, listening to hip hop and stuff like that.
Yeah, like he would listen to contemporary hip hop.
Yeah, and he was always trying to get more information out of us about hip hop and American ideas and values and things like that. But I mean, not necessarily regarding people going into the military per se. I guess I didn't quite put that together. But I mean, I appreciate that comment, because it's there is only so much that people have options to do, and one of his jobs was illegal changing of money, right? And so you'd be in the street and you'd want to change your currency. I don't know why you wouldn't just do it at a bank, but this guy and a bunch of other dudes were on the street being change money with me. So I don't know if they had a better resale value or something, but it was that was his best idea for a job, and that's true hustling in a really weird way. And so, you know, there just wasn't that much for people to do, I guess.
Was there someone you met who inspired the main character?
Yeah. Yeah, Abdi is that's his real name, and that's you know, his real, you know, daughter, and yeah, it was many. He was totally the character that we were trying to write, but then we met him in the process, and we were like, that is the kid. I can't believe it. He's in this situation in a kind of a real way.
Yeah. When we for our casting, we set up like 2 seats, and we had it on the camera and stuff. And we didn't speak any Swahili or Somali at all, so we had 2 different translators with us. And we told the translators, we'd be like, this guy doesn't have any gas. This guy wants gas. This guy has gas. This guy doesn't have any gas, and he doesn't have any money to buy it. How would he get it? And like watching them like have that back and forth, we were like, okay, we know this guy's really good on camera. This guy's really good on camera. But like when Abdi started doing it, it was just like, whoa. Like, and we couldn't even understand what he was saying, but it was like, we like looked at each other and were like,
yeah,
that's exactly the dude. There's no question in our minds. Yeah. And on top of that, like he had no father, right?
Yeah, his father was dead.
His father was dead. There was like 8 different kids in his family, like, and people in his like community looked up to him too because they knew he was like working hard and like was just an awesome dude. So it was like this guy fit just immediately perfectly into what we were thinking about writing and shooting.
Was it hard to walk away from all that?
No, that was the easiest. That was the easiest walk to the airplane. It was actually, he was playing the ukulele, like literally, and we were like, yes, we are out of here. Like it was a nightmare, to be honest. At that point, we were like insane trying to put this film together, and we went initially for 5 weeks. And it turned into a 3.5-month trip just with everything that was going wrong, which was literally everything was going wrong. And some of our cast members were in jail. We had to bail them out. It was like all this. We were robbed and held up at gunpoint. And the biggest challenge though was getting weapons from the Kenyan police, which is who we were like interfacing with to get the weapons. And in a real way, almost the better story here is like 3 white guys go to Africa and trying to get guns from the cops. That was pretty much our journey for 3.5 months. And,
we shot some stuff on the side.
Yeah, we had a film as well. But so all that said, we were in this, you know, psychotic state, and finally we had a date where we were ready to go and leave, and we came back to America kissing the ground. But I miss those guys. You know, some of the guys we really became friends with, and particularly our producer in Kenya, who was really, really helpful, and we still keep in touch. And even some of the cast members occasionally get a phone call. I know we both got a call once or twice from, you know.
There's very little English, but basically, when's the movie coming back?
Yeah, the plan is to turn this into a feature film, so we're going to have to take that step back into the country.
Do they know you're here at Sundance? Do they know their films here at Sundance?
Yeah, they do, and in fact, one of the kids, Abdi's face was on Deadline Hollywood, which is like kind of a big website in the movie industry. And so I'm just thinking, oh my God, Abdi's face is like, and now he's playing here in front of you guys. They do, they know, and some of them understand. Like Harold, our producer, understands the, you know, the significance of wow, that, you know, they're going to be seen by a wider audience now. But I imagine most of the characters in the film wouldn't really care, or you know, really get it, you know, even what it was.
Yeah, because they were all just day laboring migrant workers, and so we basically gave them something a little bit different to do instead of working in fields.
So would they all be all on board for your feature?
Yeah, assuming that we went back to Kenya and we filmed it, most of them we could get back. If we worked in another country, though, some of them we'd have a lot of issues with getting them
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out.
transportation.
We're trying to figure it
So
out.
if anybody is an immigration attorney familiar with the laws of Kenya, South Africa,
Kenyan illegals into another country.
yeah, or turning illegals into legals.
Turning illegals into legals.
Yeah, you already answered my question that I had in my mind earlier about a feature film, but I just wanted to say it was so well done, and I thought the cinematography was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's one of the few shorts I've ever seen that I sat here thinking, this is really a great teaser for a full-length feature film. So I wish you the best with that.
Thank you.
I'm curious about your crew. How many of them did you bring from the United States?
Yeah, it was the two of us. Harold Otieno is a producer and sort of a fixer in Kenya. Was our one-stop shop for everybody. To, everything we sort of needed.
He's also a bad lieutenant in a local television show, and
yeah.
One of the most hilarious things I've ever seen.
Yeah, he plays a role in like a soap opera, and like on the side. He's not doing everything else. But he was great, and he was extremely helpful. We had another Somali producer who was there, and then we had another American come over for 3 weeks, named Raphael Swan, who's not here right now, but he came over. But it was, for the most part, it was typically our crew was Harold, John, myself, and whichever one of the actors was not on screen would get, and that was cool because they didn't care. It was like, I'm acting here, I'm like in crew the next, like
after a while
there's no distinction. It was just a job, here for the job, which is cool.
We couldn't keep the crew light because we didn't have any like lighting equipment at all.
Yeah, it would be like I'd be behind the camera, John had tied the microphone to something, we're all holding something else with the other foot. There's one of them.
Did you have to pay the actors very much?
We paid them what was like pretty fair wage there, and yeah, we paid for everything. That's what's interesting is in America, we sort of have this idea that we can make a short film in America and not cut corners and do favors. No one was going to do a favor. They were like, Americans here, you must have money. You're here, So we paid everybody and for everything, which that became sort of a dicey situation.
Yeah, one of the funniest ones was we're walking around this neighborhood that doubled well for a Somali neighborhood, and we're like walking around looking for the right place to have them eat lunch or something. And we went to this one place, we're like, this place is perfect, it's gonna be awesome. We go in there, we're like, do you mind? There's nobody here. It's like the middle of the lunch hour, you've got nobody here. Like, we'll come back. We're like, how much do you think we could do this for? They're like, $200. And we're like, $200 is what you don't make in 2 months. Like, come on. Like, let's be reasonable. And they would not budge at all.
Yeah, so we were just like,
constant negotiation. $200 for like anything.
Yeah.
So not for a 20-minute shoot in your
I think what you were saying was we wanted to shoot in the restaurant, and they were not. They wanted to charge us exorbitant rate. There's two economies in pretty much anything third world country: the local rate and then the white guy rate.